Today we're going to cover the 10 most tragic murders in hip-hop history. Yes, I said history. That means from the beginning to the day I'm making this. These are the 10 most tragic murders in hip-hop history. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe. Are you ready? Let's get started. Number 10, Big L. Big L, born Lamont Coleman, was born on May 30th, 1974 in Harlem, New York, in a neighborhood called 139 Lenox, or as he used to call it, Danger Zone. He was destined to become one of the most successful rappers of his time. Lamont was the youngest of 3 children. As a child, he was known as Little L or Mont Mont. His passion for hip-hop began at the age of 12, and in the 1990s, he formed a group called 3 the Hard Way, which disappeared soon after due to lack of commitment from his peers. His professional career began in 1991 and lasted 8 years until he was shot and killed in Harlem, in the same danger zone where he grew up. He was 24 years old. A lot of rappers such as Jadakiss and Fat Joe credit Big L for being one of the first rappers to get signed and knocking the doors down for real street hip-hop in the industry. Despite his short career, Big L left a lasting impact on the industry. His debut album, Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, is considered a classic of the genre. And songs like Put It On and MVP are remembered as some of the best of their era. Number 9 on the list is Pop Smoke. On July 20th, 1999, Bashar Baraka Jackson was born in Brooklyn, New York, one of the most impressive and promising rappers of his generation. Owner of a unique rap style and a distinctive voice, we are talking about Pop Smoke, author of some of the most represented hits of hip-hop and urban music in recent years, such as Dior or Welcome to the Party. Pop Smoke was a member of the Wu Crips gang and was the main star with the rise of the New York drill wave of the last years. The death of a young and talented person is always a tragedy. But the case of Bashar Jackson is particularly painful when we consider that his brilliant career lasted only 3 years. He died on February 19th, 2020 at the age of 20, after being shot twice by burglars who broke into his rented home in the Hollywood Hills. Think about it. Jay-Z's career started at 26. If he died at 20, we would have never been able to witness his greatness. Or 50 Cent, who was still a street kid in Queens, New York at the age of 20. Just sad. His fleeting passage through the world left behind great gems of the genre, such as his debut album Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, which was a commercial and critical success and featured collaborations with artists such as Quavo, Future, and DaBaby. And as the New York drill scene continues to rise, there still hasn't been a star as big as Pop Smoke. Number 8, King Von. King Von's real name is Devon Daquan Bennett, and he was born on August 9th, 1994 in Chicago, Illinois. What made him stand out in the industry was his raw, realistic style that bluntly reflected the conditions in his hometown's most violent neighborhoods, situations he knew all too well. Devon spent most of his life, if he wasn't in jail, in Parkway Gardens, 64th and Martin Luther King Drive on Chicago's South Side, aka O Block, and was a childhood friend of Lil Durk, Chief Keef, La Capone, and Lil Reese. But while Lil Durk and Chief Keef was rising in fame and getting a taste of the finer things in life, King Von was sitting in a cold jail cell, fighting for his life, charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder in a connection with a shooting that killed 1 and injured 2, which he would miraculously beat after a witness died because he could testify. Sounds like an old mob movie, right? In 2018, after overcoming a long series of legal problems, King Von was welcomed home by one of the biggest rappers in the game, and his friend, Lil Durk. It was at this point King Von came up with the idea to rap. He had the grittiness, he had the background story, the look, and he had the connections. So he signed to Lil Durk's label OTF, Only the Family. And right out the gate, he had success dropping songs like Beat That Body, Problems, and his breakout hit and now certified gold, Crazy Story. And King Von's story would be crazy indeed, as fans would label him the best storyteller in rap since Tupac. Now that's high praise. King Von debuted with the album Welcome to O Block, a success that had the support of artists such as Lil Durk and Polo G. Sadly, King Von's time as a superstar wouldn't last long. because on November 6, 2020, just a week after he dropped his Welcome to O Block album, he was shot after a fight broke out between him and fellow rapper Quando Rondo outside a hookah lounge, and a guy from Quando's entourage shot him 4 times and he died hours later at Grady Hospital in Atlanta. He was only 26 years old. Coming in at number 7, Jam Master Jay. Jam Master Jay's real name was Jason William Mizell, born on January 21st, 1965 in New York City, Brooklyn. His life has always been connected to music. At the age of 3, he learned to play the trumpet, soon followed by bass, guitar, and drums, before discovering turntablism, the art of DJing. He was one of the founding members of Run DMC, one of the most important and influential hip-hop groups of all time, one that brought hip-hop into the mainstream and made it the center of attention for years. His name is still remembered for songs like Walk This Way and It's Like That, but most of all for his work as a producer and his dedication to the hip-hop community. Of all members of this roster, he lived the longest. He was murdered on October 30th, 2002, when an unknown assailant entered a recording studio on Merrick Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens, where he was working. There were a lot of theories surrounding the murder of Jam Master Jay, such as a drug deal gone wrong, a debt owed to an old acquaintance, a revenge killing, or some people believe he could have been killed because of his connection to 50 Cent. Crazy, I know. Nonetheless, he was 37 years old, so even though he was the oldest on this list, he was still too young and shook the rap world. Number 6 on this list is Soulja Slim. Soulja Slim, whose real name was James Adaryl Tapp Jr., was born on September 9, 1977 in New Orleans, Louisiana, in the Magnolia Projects neighborhood. Although he died very young at the age of 26, his impact on the South, New Orleans in particular, is unmatched. Matter of fact, till this day, artists take inspirations from the late rapper. He started rapping in 1992, and just 2 years later, he released his first album, The Dark Side, on Hype Enough Records. Slim released the debut album, The Dark Side, in 1994 under the pseudonym Magnolia Slim, and in 1998, he released Give It To 'Em Raw, which is considered a Southern hip-hop classic. James Tapp's music, wittingly or unwittingly, reflects his lifestyle. His raw and aggressive lyrics, reflected in such songs as From What I Was Told, matched his habits, which included an addiction to cocaine and heroin. He was murdered at 5:43 p.m. on November 26, 2003, after being shot 5 times, 3 in the face and 2 in the chest, while on his way to visit his mother. To this day, his killer remains unpunished. Coming in at number 5, none other than Takeoff. The story of Krishnik Kari Ball, better known as Takeoff, began on June 18, 1994 in Gwinnett County, Georgia, in the United States. He was destined to live a life of violence and controversy. Takeoff was one of the members of Migos, a hip-hop trio that began in 2008 under the name Polo Club. In Migos, Takeoff collaborated with his uncle Quavo and his cousin Offset. Within this group, he played a fundamental role in several major hits, such as Bad and Bougie and Versace. The former of these 2 singles was such a huge success that it received a quadruple platinum certification by the Recording Industry Association of America. Takeoff had a long run in the hip-hop world and was known as the quiet, kept-to-himself type that just got high and minded his own business. That's why when the tragic news broke, the hip-hop world was shocked. Takeoff was killed on November 1st, 2022, at a private party at 810 Billiards and Bowling, located in Houston, Texas, at the age of 28. Videos started circulating online of the incident, and it seems an argument between his uncle Quavo and a guy escalated and shots rung out, hitting Takeoff in the head while he stood afar and watched. Takeoff is one of the artists on this list that was an absolute innocent bystander when he was killed. And if this list wasn't based off of impact in hip-hop and just based off of heartbreaking and tragic, he definitely would be number 1. Number 4, Nipsey Hussle. The life of Ermias Joseph Ashkedum, popularly known by his stage name Nipsey Hussle, tragically ended on March 31st, 2019 at the age of 33. Ashkedum was one of the most talented and popular rappers of his generation, even recognized by artists like Jay-Z or E40. His family hailed from Eritrea, one of the most tumultuous and unstable countries in Africa. And as if marked by his homeland, His life was always filled with violence and confrontations. He was born on August 16, 1985, in Los Angeles, California, and during his youth, he was a member of the Crips gang of the Rolling 60s. He was one of the most talented rappers of his generation, known for his realistic rap style and commitment to the community. In 2019, he was shot and killed in Los Angeles at the age of 33. Eyewitness accounts stated that a guy by the name Eric Holder pulled up on Nipsey at his store, the Marathon, and as the female that was with him asked Nipsey for pictures, Nipsey confronted Eric about snitching rumors. Eric left, but in a fit of rage, came back, and this is when all hell would break loose. Nipsey passed away on West Salson Avenue, the neighborhood where he lived all his life. At 3:25 in the afternoon, he was fatally wounded with 5 shots to the torso and 1 to the head by Eric Holder, displaying the typical urban story. Make it out, come back to help. Killed by jealousy and envy. Nipsey would leave a lasting impact on the industry as an advocate for social justice, and his debut album, South Central State of Mind, is considered a West Coast classic with songs like Hustle in the House and Racks in the Middle, representing the best of his music. Number 3. Notorious B.I.G. Christopher LaGeorge Latour Wallace, born on March 21, 1972 in Brooklyn, New York, was known by many names: Biggie Smalls, Big Papa, the Notorious B.I.G., or simply Biggie. Recognized worldwide as one of the greatest rappers of all time and a true legend in the industry. His first album, Ready to Die, was one of the most critically acclaimed pieces of music and made him the king of the East Coast. He was born on May 21, 1972 in Bed-Stuy, a section of Brooklyn where he was forced to grow up without the guidance of a father who left home when he was only 2 years old. His lyrical style represented a slow and calm flow, and his lyrics, full of references to street violence, drugs, and other excesses, were things he knew all too well, having dropped out of school at the age of 12 to deal substances. Though he was only 24 years old when he died on March 9, 1997, and his rap career only lasted 5 years, he left behind a long list of iconic hits in the hip-hop world, earning him recognition as Lyricist of the Year at the time. He was killed after a party when a Chevrolet Impala pulled up next to his truck and shot him 5 times in the chest. 16 days later, his album, Life After Death, was released and almost immediately became number 1 on the charts. Number 2. Xtentacion. Jose Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy, known worldwide as Xtentacion, and born January 23, 1998, in Plantation, Florida, was not only one of the most relevant rappers and hip-hop artists of recent times, but also one of the most controversial. Unlike the aforementioned examples, who were rappers that we could consider more aggressive and focused on the hard life of the streets, crime, and drugs, Jose could easily be described as an emo rapper. His lyrics were much more personal and emotional, while the likes of Biggie, Takeoff, or Big L spoke more from a power perspective. Xtentacion succeeded in exploring and exposing his vulnerability, as well as exploring other musical genres such as emo, drill, trap, lo-fi, indie rock, nu metal, hip-hop, contemporary R&B, and punk. His first single to garner attention was Look at Me. It went on to have a Recording Industry Association of America certified sales of 61 million units in the United States, and British Phonographic Industry certified sales of over 7 million units in the United Kingdom, bringing his total to 68 million certified albums sold in 2 countries. He also had a controversial reputation, full of violence, episodes of instability, and even a criminal record for charges of robbery, assault, stabbing, and domestic violence. He died on June 18, 2018 in Deerfield Beach, Florida, at the age of 20. After withdrawing $50,000 from a bank, he headed to a local bike shop with plans to purchase a dirt bike. After looking, he ended up leaving, but once he got into his BMW i8 and tried to leave, he was cut off by a Dodge Journey SUV driven by Michael Boatwright, 28, Derek Williams, 26, and Trayvon Newsom, 24. As they tried to rob him of his cash, he struggled, and that's when Michael Boatwright would shoot X, killing him instantly. The aftermath of fan support and sadness was by the millions, showing that X was bigger than life to many. Rest in peace, X. And the number 1 most tragic murder ever in hip-hop is, you guessed it, Tupac. You can't get into this subject without talking about Tupac Amaru Shakur, a true hip-hop legend who is considered by many to be the greatest rapper of all time. An icon that people still talk about decades after his death. Tupac Shakur was born in Harlem, New York on June 16, 1971. At birth, his name was Lasan Parrish Crooks, but his mother renamed him Tupac Amaru Shakur when he was 1 year old, in honor of the last monarch of the Inca Empire. In his mother's words, she wanted her son to have a revolutionary name from the indigenous people of the world. I wanted him to know that he was part of the world's culture, not just a part of the neighborhood. And boy, did he get it. He became interested in music and art at a very young age and debuted as an international rapper in 1991 under the stage name Tupac. Although he had been recording under the name MC New York since 1989, it didn't take long for him to become a superstar. Several of his albums, such as All Eyes on Me, are true cultural icons, and songs like California Love and Two of America's Most Wanted are still played today. Tupac was one of few rappers that was an actor too, starring in classics like Juice, Gang Related, Poetic Justice, Above the Rim, and Gridlock. What kids today call Riz, you can say Tupac was the godfather of charisma, and it made him millions. Although his beef with rapper Biggie was iconic and would make for a great storyline, it was widely believed that his death had nothing to do with this beef. He was attacked on September 7, 1996 in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he was celebrating a birthday of his partner, Tracy Daniel Robinson. At 11:15 p.m., while stopped at a traffic light, the vehicle he was riding in was approached by a white Cadillac sedan, which opened fire on them. He was shot 4 times, one of which pierced his lung and sent him into intensive care, where he fought for his life until September 13, 1996, when he finally died. When Tupac was shot, he was leaving a Mike Tyson fight, and he was leaving the building. An altercation broke out as Tupac and a group of guys jumped a man by the name of Orlando Anderson, who was known as a notorious gang member for the Southside Compton Crip. It is believed that Anderson came back for a revenge killing on Tupac. The death of Tupac in 1996 is still the biggest murder in hip-hop till this day, saying a lot about his impact not only on hip-hop, but the world.
I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world.
These were the 10 most tragic murders in the world of hip-hop. If they were alive today, what do you think they would be doing? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss any new videos. Until next time, peace.